Welcome to a day in the Word. Today's reading is 2 Kings chapter 11 through 2 Kings chapter 13. 2 Kings chapter 11. Athaliah was Ahaziah's mother. She saw that her son was dead, so she got up and killed all the king's family. Jehosheba was King Joram's daughter and Ahaziah's sister. Joash was one of the king's sons. While the other children were being killed, Jehosheba took Joash and hid him. She put him and his nurse in her bedroom. So Jehosheba and the nurse hid Joash from Athaliah. That way Joash was not killed. Then Joash and Jehosheba hid in the Lord's temple. Joash hid there for 6 years. During that time, Athaliah ruled over the land of Judah. In the 7th year of Jehoiada, the high priest sent for the captains of the Karaites and guards. He brought them together in the Lord's temple and made an agreement with them. There in the temple of the Lord, he forced them to make a promise. Then he showed the king's son to them. Then Jehoiada gave them a command. He said, "This is what you must do. 1/3 of you, from those who go on duty on the Sabbath day, must stand guard at the royal palace. Another third will be at the Sur gate, and the other third will be at the gate behind the guard. This way you will stand guard over the palace on all sides. Your two divisions who go off duty on the Sabbath day will stand guard at the Lord's temple and protect King Joash. You must stay with him wherever he goes. The whole group must surround the king. Each guard must have his weapon in his hand, and you must kill anyone who comes too close." The captains obeyed everything that Jehoiada the priest commanded. Each captain took his men, both those who were going on duty on the Sabbath day and those who were going off duty. All these men went to Jehoiada the priest, and he gave spears and shields to the captains. These were the spears and shields David put in the Lord's temple. These guards stood with their weapons in their hands, from the right corner of the temple to the left corner. They stood around the altar and the temple and around the king when he went to the temple. These men brought out Joash. They put the crown on him and gave him a copy of the agreement. Then they anointed him and made him the new king. They clapped their hands and shouted, "Long live the king." Queen Athaliah heard the noise from the guards and the people, so she went to them at the Lord's temple. Athaliah saw the king by the column where new kings usually stood. She also saw the leaders and men playing the trumpets for him. She saw that all the people were very happy. She heard the trumpets, and she tore her clothes to show she was upset. Then Athaliah shouted, "Treason! Treason!" Jehoiada the priest gave a command to the captains who were in charge of the soldiers. Jehoiada told them, "Take Athaliah outside of the temple area. Kill any of her followers, but don't kill them in the Lord's temple." So the soldiers grabbed Athaliah and killed her as soon as she went through the horses' entrance to the palace. Then Jehoiada made the agreement between the Lord and the king and the people. This agreement showed that the king and the people belonged to the Lord. Jehoiada also made the agreement between the king and the people. Then all the people went to the temple of Baal. They destroyed the statue of Baal and his altars. They broke them into many pieces. They also killed Baal's priest, Mattan, in front of the altars. So Jehoiada the priest put men in charge of maintaining the Lord's temple. The priests led all the people. They went from the Lord's temple to the king's palace. The king's special guards and the captains went with the king, and all the other people followed them. They went to the entrance to the king's palace. Then King Joash sat on the throne. All the people were happy, and the city was peaceful. And Queen Athaliah was killed with a sword near the king's palace. Joash was 7 years old when he became king. 2 Kings chapter 12. Joash began to rule during Jehu's 7th year as king of Israel. Joash ruled 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother was named Zibiah of Beersheba. For as long as he lived, Joash did what the Lord considered right. He did what Jehoiada the priest taught, but he did not destroy the high places. The people still made sacrifices and burned incense at those places of worship. Joash said to the priests, "There is much money in the Lord's temple. People have given things to the temple and have paid the temple tax when they were counted, and they have given money simply because they wanted to. You priests should take that money and repair the Lord's temple. Each priest should use the money he gets from the people he serves. He should use that money to repair the damage to the temple." In the 23rd year that Joash was king, the priest still had not repaired the temple. So King Joash called for Jehoiada the priest and the other priests. Joash said to them, "Why haven't you repaired the temple? Stop taking money from the people you serve. That money must be used to repair the temple." The priests agreed to stop taking money from the people, but they also decided not to repair the temple. So Jehoiada the priest took a box and made a hole in the top of it. Then he put the box on the south side of the altar. This box was by the door where people came into the Lord's temple. Some of the priests were there to guard this doorway. They took the money that people brought for the Lord's temple and put it into this box. Whenever the king's secretary and the high priest saw that the box was full, they counted all the money that had been given for the Lord's temple and put it into bags. Then they paid the men who were in charge of the work on the Lord's temple. They paid the carpenters and other builders who worked on the Lord's temple. They used that money to pay the stone workers and stone cutters, and they used it to buy timber, cut stone, and everything else to repair the Lord's temple. People gave money for the Lord's temple, but the priest could not use this money to make silver cups, snuffers, basins, trumpets, or any of the gold and silver dishes that were to be used inside the Lord's temple. This money was used only to pay the workers who repaired the Lord's temple. Those who were in charge of paying the workers did not have to give a report of how they spent the money because they could be trusted. People gave money when they offered guilt offerings, and sin offerings. But that money was not used for the Lord's temple, it belonged to the priests. Hazael was the king of Aram. He went to flight he went to fight against the city of Gath and defeated it. Then he made plans to go fight against Jerusalem. Joash and his ancestors, Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, and Ahaziah, had all been kings of Judah. They had given many things to the Lord that were kept in his temple. Joash gathered all these things and all the gold that was stored in the temple and in his palace. He sent all this treasure to King Hazael of Aram, who then commanded his army to leave Jerusalem. All the great things that Joash did are written in the book, The History of the Kings of Judah. Joash's officers made plans against him. They killed Joash at the house of Milo, on the road that goes down to Silla. Joshaphat, son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, son of Shomer, were Joash's officers. These men killed Joash. The people buried Joash with his ancestors in the city of David. His son Amaziah became the new king after him. 2 Kings chapter 13. Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, became king over Israel in Samaria. This was during the 23rd year that Joash, son of Ahaziah, was king in Judah. Jehoahaz ruled 17 years. Jehoahaz did what the Lord considered wrong. Like Jeroboam, son of Nebat, he committed sins that also caused the people of Israel to sin. And he never stopped doing those things. Then the Lord was angry with Israel. He let King Hazael of Aram and Hazael's son Ben-Hadad gain control of Israel. Then Jehoahaz begged the Lord to help them. The Lord listened to him because he had seen the terrible troubles that the king of Aram had caused the Israelites. So the Lord sent a man to serve Israel. The Israelites were free from the Armenians. So the Lord sent a man to save Israel. The Israelites were free from the Arameans. So the Israelites went to their own homes as they did before. But the Israelites still did not stop committing the sins of the family of Jeroboam that caused Israel to sin. The Israelites continued committing the sins of Jeroboam. They also kept the Asherah poles in Samaria. The king of Aram defeated Jehoahaz's army and destroyed most of the men in the army. He left only 50 horse soldiers, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers. Jehoahaz's soldiers were like chaff blown away by the wind at the time of threshing. All the great things that Jehoahaz did are written in the book, The History of the Kings of Israel. Jehoahaz died and was buried with his ancestors. The people buried Jehoahaz in Samaria. His son Jehoash became the new king after him. Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, became king over Israel in Samaria. This was during the 37th year that Joash was king of Judah. Jehoash ruled Israel for 16 years. He did what the Lord said was wrong. He did not stop committing the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin. Jehoash continued to commit those sins. All the great things that Jehoash did and his wars against King Amaziah of Judah are written in the book, The History of the Kings of Israel. Jehoash died and was buried with his ancestors. Jeroboam became the new king and sat on Jehoash's throne. Jehoash was buried at Samaria with the kings of Israel. Elisha became sick, and later he died from this sickness. King Jehoash of Israel went to visit Elisha. Jehoash cried for him and said, my father, is it time for the chariot of Israel and its horses?" Elisha said to Jehoash, "Take a bow and some arrows." Jehoash took a bow and some arrows. Then Elisha said to the king of Israel, "Put your hand on the bow." Jehoash put his hand on the bow. Then Elisha put his hands on the king's hands. Elisha said, "Open the east window." Jehoash opened the window. Then Elisha said, "Shoot." Jehoash shot. Then Elisha said, "This is the Lord's arrow of victory over Aram. You will defeat the Arameans at Aphek until you destroy them." Elisha said, "Take the arrows." Jehoash took the arrows. Then Elisha said to him, "Hit on the ground." Jehoash hit the ground 3 times. Then he stopped. The man of God was angry with Jehoash. Elisha said, "You should have hit 5 or 6 times. Then you would have defeated Aram until you destroyed it. But now you will defeat Aram only 3 times." Elisha died, and the people buried him. One time in the spring, a group of Moabite soldiers came to fight against Israel. Some Israelites were burying a dead man when they saw that group of soldiers. The Israelites quickly threw the man into Elisha's grave. As soon as the dead man touched the bones of Elisha, he came back to life and stood up on his feet. During all the days that Jehoahaz ruled, King Hazael of Aram caused trouble to Israel. But the Lord was kind to the Israelites. He had mercy and showed his care for them because of his agreement with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He did not want them to be destroyed. He has never completely left them. King Hazael of Aram died, and Ben-Hadad became the new king after him. Before he died, Hazael had taken some cities in war from Jehoahaz, Jehoash's father. But now Jehoash took back these cities from Hazael's son Ben-Hadad. Jehoash defeated Ben-Hadad 3 times and took back the cities of Israel. Thank you for joining A Day in the Word, Bible in a Year series. Please subscribe, like, comment, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell. Until next time, Shalom.